kind of start this off, I remember about a month ago, maybe, there was a news story about an OnlyFans model who did a similar thing, but with 100. And I guess that seems like that wasn't that big of a deal because that record didn't even last a month, or that being in the news didn't even last a month because now someone's done it with 100 men, which is, or 1,000 men, sorry, which is, 10 times more. And yeah, I mean, it kind of shows. I mean, the moral of that is just I feel kind of bad for the first lady because I guess some things don't last. Some records don't last despite how hard you have to work for them to happen. So apparently her name is Bonnie Blue, and she had sex with 1,057 men in 12 hours. Yeah, she did more than 10 times what the other girl did in half the time. I mean, that's whatever you think about it. That's quite an accomplishment, to be honest. Um, anyway, she announced this in an Instagram post, which included the quote, "Thank you all to all the barely legal, barely breathing, and the husbands." Maybe that isn't exactly something to brag about. I mean, that part. I mean, everyone can be proud of whatever accomplishments they have or anything like that, but that part might be something you want to leave out. But all right, everyone has their own prerogatives, I guess. She said afterwards, when kind of talking about the subject, she said that it quote just feels like I've had a heavy day in the bedroom. Is how she put it. That's a bit of an understatement, I guess, but if that's how she feels, I mean, okay, I guess I have to commend her on that. She can stay humble about it. That's what you want to say after doing something like that. But anyway, she did still talk about it more. She put a video on TikTok where she said early on that it was mostly group sex at first with the room nearly full. And after a while, she started doing it in groups of 5. And after a while longer, she said just switched to one-on-one because she, quote, wanted to give people more time. I mean, gee, that's kind of an insult to the other girl, frankly, because she did 100 in a longer time frame, and this girl decided to do one-on-one for a good portion of it instead of just trying to cut corners and do multiple as fast as possible at the same time. I mean, that's quite an achievement that she not only did more, but then did it in a way that's going to take a lot longer. So, all right, I mean, that's interesting. And anyway, apparently, according to E! News, which I read, this is where I saw a lot of this from, she spent an average of less than 1 minute per person. I don't really know who exactly would be on, but it feels like that's a bit of a self-report, especially maybe to the guys that it only took 1 minute. I mean, for a lot of them, which is a bit embarrassing. But I guess they're not putting their name, so whatever. They don't have to think anything of it. But something else kind of interesting about it is, again, according to E! News, after hitting 1,000, there were still 57 left in the queue, and she decided to have sex with the rest of them to make them happy. And I tell you what, I mean, she seems like a real nice person, frankly, for that. I mean, she hit her goal but kept going to satisfy the other guys. What a stand-up woman, I mean, that's a very, I guess, admirable quality to when you're probably tired, don't want to think about it when you hit your goal, but just doing the rest because trying to make them happy. That's I mean, that's a nice person, I'd say. And also, I will say about it that it's interesting the whole self-report thing. I know I guess that the thing is they're trying to move it along fast. I couldn't give anyone a lot of time, so I guess I understand why it was only each of them. Maybe it was only anyone only ever got a minute, and not that it took a minute. So okay, I guess that makes sense. And apparently, according to E! News, another kind of weird thing is she started in OnlyFans in the first place. I mean, this is just a bit more information about the woman in general, but because she used to work at like a normal 9 to 5 job, and worried she would regret not having quote done something more. Well, I mean, mission accomplished, I guess. I mean, she has done more than you would do in a 9 to 5. So yeah, I guess there's a reason behind it. Reading a bit more, I did find another source on this, not just on E! News, but according to the Daily Mail, she's British, this is why, 750,000 pounds a month from OnlyFans. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, people look down on OnlyFans like it's a trash career and that you shouldn't do it as bad, but I may have found a new career path. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can't blame her for any of this. What other job can you make that much money in? I don't even think most actors, like famous actors or anything like that, or musicians, make $750,000 a month or pounds or whatever it is. So, damn, all right. I mean, that's not a bad living. I mean, and I know that it's a really hard thing to do what she's done because it is probably emotionally challenging to do it with that many people and also just hard to set up. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that need to be signed and regulations and concerns about breaking the law or whatever, if it is breaking the law. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's a decent career path, at this point with that much money. I'm not recommending people do it, but it's a lot more than I would have thought she would be making at it. I think it's more than. I'm sure there are maybe very famous actors and musicians who make more money than that a month, but to kind of clarify, I guess that is way more than I could think that any internet job would make. So, dang, I mean that's not a bad living. And I guess one other thing, interesting thing to mention to kind of wrap it up, because I don't even know if I should be talking about it all that much anyway, but I think it's kind of interesting to bring up is that she's broken the record of most men a woman's had sex with in a single day, which apparently isn't surprising. I think the previous record holder, if I remember correctly, read was set in 2004, something like that. So about 21 years or so. I don't know. I hope everyone, all the new TikTok news type videos that are covering this, I hope people back them up so we can all go back and study them soon and see what it was all about because that's going to be gone pretty soon. That was the last show before they get rid of TikTok, so hope someone goes back and does that soon. But anyway, I mean, good for her that she broke that record. Being I guess cementing her name in the history book or whatever. But I mean, I will say that I feel bad to say this, but I don't think she's going to be put in the Guinness Book of World Records anytime soon or anything like that. So I'm sorry. Maybe someday people will forget her accomplishment, but I don't know. People listening to this, they'll remember, and I guess that's all that's important.